Hi, I'm Lex. Today I'll be looking at TNT Combat Scourge Monitors, the Shedu and Lamassu. These guys are from Dropfleet Commander. So for scale, we're going to go through a few other Scourge ships. So this is a Nikar, which is a corvette and until recently the smallest Scourge ship, followed by a gargoyle, a frigate-sized strike carrier. This is a United Colonies Mankind frigate, the Toulon. This is a Scourge cruiser, the Wyvern. And finally, the Demon, a Scourge battleship. And here's a group shot of all the ships together. Don't play Dropfleet Commander. That's okay. We have a Space Marine. Here we have Brother Vanel from the Space Marine Heroes line, and he's going to be painted up as Lamantu one day. So first we'll be looking at the Shedu. So size-wise, these guys are pretty chunky. They only have 4 hull, about the same as Gargoyle and its ilk, but it's got armor of battleship with 3+ save. On the table, there'll be the slowest units that you have access with a thrust of 6. And being a monitor, the Shedu can't use max thrust or course change orders, so it's not going to be going anywhere in a hurry. The Shedu can, however, fire from low to high with no penalty, a little bit like the Sailor frigate, but it doesn't stop there. The Shedu has a detector rule, meaning it can tag enemy ships with active scan, even if the rest of the battle group it's in has different augurs. The tagged ship receives a minor spike, and at the end of the Shedu's activation, it gets a major spike. When you buy the Shedu, you'll be doing in groups of 2 to 3, so they'll run you between 90 and 135 points. That gets you all the previously mentioned abilities, but how hard does it hit? Pretty hard. Each ship fires 2 shots, hitting on 3+, critting on 5+, and doing 2 points damage per hit. On top of that, they have Scold, meaning that the enemy's armor is reduced by 1, so 4+ saves become 5+ saves. A group of 3 are going to be punching out a ton of damage, averaging out about 8 to 10 points of damage and maxing out at 12 points. And that's before the reduced save. Enough to worry most cruisers and easily smashing through groups of frigates. With the slow speed, they're ideal for protecting your backline, scaring off daring drops from strike carriers. On to the Lamassu. It shares its brother's low hull, low thrust, and great armor, but it's not technically a monitor, it's a barge. That means it can use max thrust orders and course change orders. It's got mediocre guns, but it really shines in point scoring. Able to drop a single bulk lander each turn, and able to bombard enemy sectors planetside with 2 shots hitting on 3+. The Lamassu can be brought in groups of 1 to 3 for 45 points each. Maxed out groups 3 can ruin most sectors, and the ones it doesn't ruin, it can drop in defense batteries or 3 infantry each. So potentially 9 infantry in a sector per turn, which will be pretty hard to dislodge with anything short of bombardment or bulk landers from cruisers, which are only dropping 2. A ballista of 3 ships will cost about £20 from TNT Combat and includes parts to assemble either the Shedu or Lamassu. The engine block has elegant sweeping fins. Look at them. They're so beautiful. If it would focus. Hey. There we go. So the engine block has elegant sweeping fins. Inner details like circuits just up here, which is great. Snaking vanes and vents on the underside. So just in there, which will connect up nicely when you've got the prow on. Like all Dropfleet and Drop Zone minis, it's covered in details. Spiny backbone motifs running down the back here. Love them. So let's repeat on the prows of both the Shedu and Lamassu. Gives a real Geiger biomechanical look. The Shedu prow. Here it is up close and focused. Here we go. Has that wide manta ray look and is covered with rows of ocular beam weapons running down the middle. It's that gnarly spine again, with ribs spreading out. Oh, aren't they magnificent? And the underside has spreading lines like jellyfish, which is really cool, given how the Scourge look out of the bodies. And that bulge of detail adds a lot to the overall silhouette when viewed from the side. Meanwhile, the Lamassu prow looks like a hungry Balin Wild, that massive garage door up the front. And that gravid underside swollen with thousands of troops. Flanking this are 2 plasma launchers for bombarding enemy sectors. Like scale-wise, they're massive weapons. On top are 2 horns with small rows of ocular beam weapons. And again, that backbone design. There's some minimal flash clean up in the gates from the casting process. With TNT's minis, it's always important to give these babies a warm bath with a drop of dishwashing liquid or hand soap. If you don't, the release agent can cause some paint to bead, and you can end up with bare patches of resin. Once this is done and they're dry, you can glue them with your choice of super glue. Two halves go together pretty well, though there will be a slight gap there. With some milliput and green stuff, you should be able to clean that up. So you can see that just round the backing there. Occasionally there'll be imperfections or air bubbles in the cast, like we've got on the Shedu right there. There's like a little air bubble. But again, milliput green stuff should be able to solve it. And if there's a huge gap or any missing parts, TNT Combat have an awesome customer service team which can help with the solution. In general, TNT's combat quality control is quite good, so hopefully it shouldn't be an issue. But we've had issues in the past, it's all been sorted out pretty quick. So I'll be making mine up as Lamassu, since I suck at the scoring side of the game, and these thick ladies will force me to take some sectors. Because I haven't found a way to segue it in yet, I wanted to mention the grade A naming on these units. Lamassu is a Sumerian deity of protection, and the Shedu is its male counterpart. It feels really cool since both monitor and barge defensive ships. They hold the back line in a fleet, which is usually built around outright aggression. This is my first try at the whole YouTube thing, but I do plan to do more once a month sort of videos. Like if you want, subscribe for more, and comment if you want to boost my ego or point out mistakes. Just be gentle. Thanks for taking your time and watching. Stay tuned and see you next time. Ciao.